Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Today I'll be sharing with you the most important settings that you need to set up your camera for street photography in a way that allows you to shoot effectively, efficiently, and quickly. Street photography is usually a fast-paced environment where the shot comes and goes really quickly. The last thing you want to do is fumble with your settings and play around with settings and miss the shot. It's a pain in the ass walking around the streets and focusing on camera settings at the same time trying to focus on composition. So these are the best settings that I use that can get you the shot with minimum effort, with no fumbling with your camera. So if you're a beginner and you're starting street photography and you want to have zero stress on the streets and just focus on what's in front of you, these are the settings that I recommend for any camera so you can get better shots. So the first thing that you want to do is set your shutter speed to automatic. So you set it to automatic. This applies to all cameras. Second thing you want to do is your aperture, in this case on the lens, you want it to be in manual mode. Sometimes on some cameras it's usually allocated to the dial, the front dial or the rear dial as aperture, so you want it to be in aperture priority mode. On the Fuji cameras, usually you have an aperture ring here. So I like to control the aperture in the streets so that you have more creative control. If you want shallow depth of field, you go 1.4. If you want more in focus, you go higher the aperture. I usually shoot around f5.6 on the street in daylight, and as it gets darker you obviously go down, and depending on the shot. So you want the aperture to be in manual, you want the shutter speed to be in automatic, and you also want the ISO to be in automatic also. In this camera here, okay, so here most cameras allow you to put a minimum shutter speed. So as you see here, my minimum shutter speed is 1/200. So you don't want to go under 1/200, otherwise you'll get any blurry images if there's any motion involved. So make sure that you have the minimum shutter set to 200. ISO, I usually have it at 3200 during daylight. If it's at night I'm shooting, I'll do 6400, but always have the minimum shutter speed as 1/200. What this allows you to do is if you're shooting, for example, and your aperture is all the way down and it's nighttime and the shutter speed is also going to go really low, the ISO might hit the top 3200, and if there's not enough light, what the shutter speed will do will go under 200th of a second, which is not enough to capture or freeze any motion. So if there's somebody walking past the camera and you shoot at under 200, sometimes you'll get a blurry image, so it's not really efficient. For you to not worry about the shutter speed, it's the best practice to leave it 1/200th as a minimum shutter speed. That way you don't have to worry about it. The ISO, you can even crank it to 6400 even during daylight, if you're in a dark environment or in shadow, just so that the shutter speed doesn't go under. I also shoot in AFC, continuous autofocus, and I use multi for my metering, and also I use focus area. I use focus mode. I use zone focusing. So that way when I'm shooting and I'm holding down the shutter button, it constantly focuses. And it's, if there's any moving subjects, I just track them and I focus on them like that. I always use the middle focus. I don't like to move it around too much. I leave it in the middle there. So this is the best settings that I recommend for street photography. Makes it so easy. As you shoot, you pretty much just, all you're doing is adjusting this for creative control. Your camera does everything else with no problems. You've got it on AFC. You've got it on, I also shoot on burst mode, but on minimum. So as you see here, I put it on low burst mode. I put the speed as 4 or maybe even 3. Sometimes the next shot after the one that you took is usually the best. So just so I don't have too many photos to go through after finish shooting, I like to do 3 or 4. That way I just have 3 shots, bang, bang, bang. That's enough for me to pick the best out of the 3 instead of having on high speed and having a stupid amount of images to go through. That's my recommendations, guys. If you like this video, please hit subscribe and hit the bell notification, and I'll see you in the next video.